Batman and Superman are not only two of DC's biggest heroes, but they're also best friends. Unfortunately, as we all know, friends can end up hurting you worse than your enemies. After all, betrayal can only come from your allies. And although Batman would die to protect Superman, he's also done some pretty messed up things to him over the years. And we are going to go over the worst of them. We'll get the most obvious one out of the way first. He made an arsenal of weapons to kill him. Now, Batman is one of the smartest, and the richest, heroes in the DC world. And so because of this, he has come up with some truly amazing ways of beating Superman. Everything from kryptonite bullets, to red solar lamps, to sonic grenades to overload his super senses, and even a Doomsday virus that transforms Batman into Doomsday with kryptonite breath, allowing him not only to be stronger, but also breathe his weakness straight into his face. It's quite impressive. Now, in fairness, Batman has made these murderous weapons to kill his best friend purely as a precautionary measure, to safeguard the human race against what he sees as the world's most powerful metahuman.
You think one of us would go over to the other side?
Or succumb to mind control. Yes, it's possible.
Now, admittedly, it does kind of make him sound like he's a bit insane, all of this, and that's not unjust. However, Superman has actually approved of this action, and has even given Batman kryptonite in order to use against him should it be necessary. And it actually has been on several occasions. Superman has been mind-controlled and gone kill-crazy, and Batman has needed to take him out. He's even gone pure evil, and a kryptonite laser has been needed to take him down.
A kryptonite weapon? You kill him, you're no better than he is.
I didn't say kill. It'll incapacitate him, nothing more.
But even though it's justified, and it's got Superman's stamp of approval, having your best friend spend billions of dollars on gadgets so he can beat you unconscious and potentially murder you, well, that's just weird. And definitely on the list of worst things that Batman has done to Superman. Especially when those gadgets and plans have been stolen and used by the supervillains against Superman. Or when Batman has gone rogue and the President has asked Superman to take him down, and Batman uses his weapons to take Superman down first. Though, in fairness, in this story, Batman was actually morally in the right. But even so, this is a very low blow, and it's just a terrible thing to do to one of your closest allies and friends. Now, I'm not going to go over every device Batman has used against Superman, because there's loads of them, and I've actually already done a video about it in the past, so I'll just put the links in this video's description. But suffice to say, all of these devices are a huge violation of their friendship.
None of us would ever do that to you.
Then you're damn fools.
He dated Lois Lane. Now, it's hard to imagine a DC world where Superman and Lois aren't together. After all, they have one of the most rock-solid relationships in the comic book world. But there was actually a time when Bruce Wayne and Lois dated. In the TV show Superman the Animated Series, Bruce Wayne comes to town in order to warn Superman that the Joker is coming to kill him. And while there, he works out that Superman is Clark Kent, and he starts dating the girl that Clark has a crush on.
Don't you realize you're moving in on Superman's main squeeze?
But this isn't just a one-night stand. The two of them click, and Lois was even going to leave Metropolis and move to Gotham so she could be with Bruce. And in all honesty, that's actually pretty quick if you ask me, even though he is a billionaire, handsome and charming, still. But it is a 20-minute episode show, so these things do have a tendency to progress quite quickly. Though it kind of hits a speed bump when Lois finds out that Bruce Wayne is actually Batman.
I still wish you'd change your mind about Gotham.
I adore you, Bruce, but now there's a lot about you I don't know, and I'm not sure I want to know.
And so the two of them decide to go their separate ways. But it's still kind of a dick move on Batman's part, because he knows that Superman likes her. Though, in fairness, Lois does say they're not involved.
Lois, about Clark Kent. Are you and he,
No, Bruce. Your only competition flew away some time ago.
But with that being said, she doesn't know that Clark is Superman, and Superman does still very much like her. So Batman could easily make this connection and decide I shouldn't really go there. Now, don't get me wrong, Superman doesn't have any rights to Lois. I mean, Lois is her own person, she can date who she wants. That's how it is. But the problem is, if Batman and Superman are going to be working together and becoming partners fighting crime, well, Batman dating the girl Superman likes isn't exactly going to be a good way of going about this, now is it? And that's really the crux of the problem. But it doesn't really matter, because after Bruce and Lois break up, Superman and Batman do manage to work it out.
You know, there might be something to this partnership business after all.
Yeah, right.
And there was also another time when Batman had Catwoman throw Lois Lane off of a rooftop in order to distract Superman. Although in fairness, Superman was mind-controlled at the time and actively trying to murder Batman, but still, it's a messed up thing to do to your best friend's lover. And even though it is revealed Batman only wanted Catwoman to just dangle her over the edge, just threaten to kill her, and then Catwoman took it too far, well, either way it's still pretty messed up, isn't it? And lastly, there is actually a comic, Lois Lane number 89, where Bruce Wayne and Lois get married and have a son, named Bruce Wayne Jr., and who then later becomes Batman Jr. That's actually the name they use in the comic, I'm not making that up. And though it was originally an imaginary story, it was later retconned in order to happen on Earth 89. And though Superman does give his blessing to Batman's face, in private he's actually pretty angry about the whole thing. But then he does come to terms with it, and he does actually end up blaming himself for not settling down with her sooner. He should have acted because she wasn't going to wait forever. But still, it is a big strain on their friendship. He gave him his heart's desire. Now, on the surface, this one actually sounds great. The problem is that Superman was given everything he ever wanted, only to have it snatched away from him forever. And that hurt more than anything. Now, this all took place in the Injustice universe, and in that universe, Batman tried a lot of things before he was able to take Superman out for good. This includes having Ragman try to trap Superman in a magical soul prison for all eternity, though Superman was too powerful for it, and was actually able to escape with the help of the Spectre, who then killed Ragman in the process. And of course, he arranged for Wonder Woman to fight him to the death, and she ended up breaking his arm and beating the hell out of him before the fight came to a conclusion. But unfortunately, those plans didn't work out for him, and so we're going to go over one that did actually work for quite a while. And that is when Batman had Superman put into a magical sleep where he would dream of his ideal world. Now, this was actually the most humane way of taking him out. I mean, seriously, there isn't a person in a prison around the world who would not trade places with him. Like, you can go to sleep and get everything you want. Best prison sentence ever. And in Superman's dream, there is a world where Lois and his unborn child never died, where Batman kills the Joker in order to protect Superman's loved ones, and basically where everything is perfect. Superman gets to watch as his daughter grows up and masters her powers. Bruce Wayne goes to prison to pay for the Joker's murder, which is bad, but he does eventually get out, retires from being Batman, and ends up marrying Wonder Woman. So like I say, basically everything is just perfect for them. They're all very happy. That is, until the rest of the gang back in the real world break the magic spell and wake Superman up. And he comes back into the world where his wife and child were not only killed, but they were killed by him in a drugged out haze. Needless to say, he does not take this well. Now, you may think that it doesn't really matter since technically none of this was real anyway, but you couldn't be more wrong, because it was real to Superman. He could touch this world, smell it, taste it, and live it, and he did live it, and he was living the greatest life ever. This world was no different than ours, except he was finally free from all of his trauma and pain. Superman was finally happy and living in his perfect world. One that was as real as your life is to you. I mean, imagine the person you love most in the world, and then imagine them dying, and then imagine them coming back to life, and then imagine them dying all over again. I mean, you'd basically be feeling double the grief and trauma. That would be a living hell, and it is exactly what Batman did to Superman. Although in fairness, I should say, Batman did mean for him to sleep forever in this paradise. It was technically Wonder Woman who snatched it all away. But still, Batman did set this up, and he knew that the others would never let Superman stay like this, so he really is still the one to blame for it, or at least largely to blame. Although it does have to be said that Superman more than got his revenge on him. I mean, he's exposed his secret identity to the world, broken Batman's back, and later even taken control of Batman's mind using Brainiac tech and turned him into his slave, which is almost definitely the worst thing that Superman has ever done to Batman. So yeah, he definitely gets his vengeance. He kicked his cousin off of Earth. Now technically Batman didn't kick her off of Earth by force, but rather he used logic to convince Superman that she needed to leave. Now this happened in the film Legion of Superheroes, where Supergirl comes to help in a fight, and she ends up being more of a problem than a help. In fact, she does more damage than Solomon Grundy does. And so Batman convinces Clark to get rid of his only blood relative in the universe.
Your cousin is a problem. You said we could trust her.
She's only been here a couple of months. She's doing her best.
It's not good enough.
Not exactly the kind of thing a best friend should do. Now, with that being said, it's not like she goes to somewhere bad. She actually ends up going 1,000 years into the future, and she seems a lot happier there. I mean, who wouldn't be with all that sci-fi tech? Plus, it's similar tech to what she is used to having on Krypton. I mean, she went from living in a sci-fi wonderland to going back to the Middle Ages. I mean, that is what Earth is like to her.
It's just all so primitive and weird and wrong and different here.
And even though she likes living in the future and everything is good, seriously, she has a boyfriend and everything, she's loving it, still, I think there's something really off about Batman convincing Superman she is a problem and needs to go. I mean, it's like he's saying, oh, she's a bad roommate or a bad influence, that Superman needs to get rid of her. I mean, he's not talking like it's his only Kryptonian family in the universe. I seriously think this is a horrible thing to do to someone, and I personally have a real problem with this. I mean, I appreciate that others may not consider it to be that big of a deal, but still, you've got to admit, it is wrong. Although, in fairness, once again, she is happier off the Earth, so, there's two sides to this argument. He took away Superman's powers and imprisoned him. Now, in the Injustice universe, Batman eventually manages to topple Superman's regime and locks him up in a prison that he designed, with red solar lamps to sap his powers so that he can't escape. Now, that is actually pretty bad in itself. Sure, he had to go to prison, we will accept that, but having your best friend do it, still feels worse than if it was a stranger doing it. But unfortunately, when Superman gets out of prison to help fight Brainiac, Batman ends up doing something even worse. You see, after he's beaten up Superman and re-arrested him, he doesn't just lock him up like he did before, because he's scared that his allies will break him out. So instead, he drains him of his powers permanently using gold kryptonite, and then, even though he's powerless, he locks him up in the Phantom Zone. And the problem with this is, it's completely unnecessary. After all, Superman never escaped from his old prison cell. His allies tried to get him out, sure, but they failed. It was actually Batman who ended up releasing him because he needed his help to fight Brainiac. Which means that Superman could go back to this prison cell quite safely without even needing to remove his powers. But with his powers removed, he can definitely go back to that prison cell. I mean, if he seriously feels it's necessary to take them away, and I get that, Superman is a very serious threat in this universe. He's not only a mass murderer, but he is resolved to conquer the world and then the universe. So yeah, maybe everyone would be safer if Superman was powerless here. But even so, why send him off to the Phantom Zone afterwards? I mean, a normal prison cell could easily hold a powerless Kryptonian after all. Not to mention, his red solar cell is still vacant, so he could just go back to that one if he's scared he'll somehow get his powers back. I mean, why send him to the Phantom Zone at all? It's not in any way needed to keep him locked up. And it's also an extreme punishment, because the Phantom Zone has been known to send people insane. It's a really messed up place to live. It plays tricks on the mind. It's quite well documented in the comics for this. And not only that, but it keeps them alive forever. They don't age when you're in the Phantom Zone, so this isn't a prison sentence for like 50, 60, 500 years. Oh no, it's all of time. Billions of years. So again, unnecessary. I mean, despite Superman's crimes, I think this punishment is still way over the top. Of course, his victims might disagree with that assessment, sure, but you'd think his best friend would find another way of locking him up. And Batman has many ways at his disposal. So it kind of feels like this is Batman just twisting the knife into Superman. And it's not only that he shouldn't be doing this, it's that he doesn't need to do this, and he most especially doesn't need to do it to a friend. It is seriously messed up. And those are the worst things that Batman has done to Superman. Though despite all of this, they do still remain friends. Well, not in the Injustice universe, of course, though there is still a sort of bond between them there. But in the main universe, they remain close, and really nothing Batman could do could break their friendship. Not even when Batman developed a red kryptonite that makes Superman's skin translucent. And the reason that's bad is because it lets him absorb a crazy amount of sunlight. Way too much for him, more than he can handle, and it overloads his senses and leaves him in paralysing, crippling pain. I mean, sure, it was Ra's al Ghul who eventually used it, but Batman still created it, with the intention to use it on Superman one day, should he get mind control or turn evil. So what I'm saying is, if their friendship can survive that, well, it is solid. But anyway, if there are any other things that Batman has done that you think should have been mentioned, please let us know in the comments, along with which one of these is your personal favourite worst thing that Batman has done to the Man of Steel. And I'd just like to quickly remind everyone that we have some merchandise available on our store, and to say thanks to all of you who have donated to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.